When I came back from the mountains, I thought I had found my way. I was sure that I would now live completely in accordance with who I am. I didn't want to be the person social media shows, flawless, emotionless, idealized. I stepped away from filters, from pictures that had to be taken 20 times to meet some ideal. I started posting photos and videos without hesitation, without any edits. I showed my falls, my mistakes, and I thought that now I could truly be real. At first, I thought it would be an easy step. I began to notice new people following me. Those who were tired of perfect pictures, who needed to see real life. They supported me in this. Friends wrote that my content was now much more sincere, that they liked my human approach. I thought I had found my niche, but soon I began to notice that the less I did to please others, the fewer people stayed. The further I moved away from the standards, the more people unfollowed me. My follower count began to drop. I tried not to pay attention to it, but I still felt upset inside. I wasn't watching the numbers, but they had become an indicator of how I was being perceived. People started asking, "Are you crazy? You need to try harder. Show your best side. That's what people want to see." But what could I do? Was it even possible? It was at this moment that I received a letter. It was from one of the big clothing brands I had worked with before. This time, the offer was several times bigger than all the previous ones. The brand was clearly interested in making me the face of their company again. The offer was tempting. Big money, exclusive terms, all the things I had once dreamed of. But as soon as I read the letter, I realized that they didn't just want to work with me. They wanted to bring me back to the very role I had abandoned. "You can be genuine, Jason," the letter said, "but we need more shine, more filters, more beautiful pictures, more inspiration. We're sure you can create perfect content and still be authentic." I felt uneasy. I knew that if I accepted this offer, I would be returning to the trap I had barely escaped from. I tried to convince myself that this could be a smart move. Maybe I wasn't so wrong when I was perfect. Maybe being myself wasn't always the best option. These thoughts haunted me and I almost gave in. The day came when I had to give an answer. I sat in a cafe, looking at my phone screen and wondering what would happen if I said yes. It was a lot of money, a chance to return to the peak of my popularity. But then I remembered how I felt when I was in that old persona. Empty. And when I started this new path, I felt alive. I couldn't go back to that emptiness. But here's what was worse. In that moment, I realized that returning to the old road would mean not only being perfect for others again, but losing myself. I faced myself once again, and I decided that I couldn't give in to this. So I wrote a rejection. But as soon as I clicked send, another email came in. This was from a different company, much less well-known. But their offer was truly unexpected. They didn't want to see me back in glamour and falseness. They said, "We've seen how you've changed, and we appreciate your authenticity. We want you to share your story and tell how you went through this journey. We believe people need the truth." I was surprised. This was an offer I could accept. There was no pressure, no demands to bring back the old Jason. They asked me to share what I had experienced, and that felt honest and real. I saw that this company was offering me real freedom to work and be myself. A couple of days later, I recorded my first video where I told my story. I shared how I had been lost in a world of false ideals, how I tried to please everyone, and how I finally realized that happiness isn't in likes but in being real. That video quickly gained popularity, but what was more important, I felt relief. I had shared my truth, and I no longer depended on others' expectations. However, the more I shared my experience, the more doubts appeared in my mind. People began commenting that I was wrong, that the visual aspect still matters. "You were cool when you were bright and bold," they wrote to me. I tried to calm myself. I knew I shouldn't give in to these comments. But at some point, I began to feel that more and more brands were reaching out to me again. They said my story inspired them, but they all insisted that I return to glamour. I saw how some of them tried to bribe me with promises of new contracts and offers. Every time I saw such offers, it became harder to stay true to myself. The pressure was too strong. I started to wonder if it was worth continuing if my authenticity didn't bring me what I expected. Being myself didn't seem to bring any benefits. I felt like I might lose everything if I didn't give in to these tempting offers. I talked again with a few people who had been following my story. One of them told me, "You should go back to what worked. I know you don't like it, but that's how you'll get back to the top." I thought about it. Returning to the world I had left would be easily achievable. But deep inside, I knew that if I did it, I would be back in the trap. I made my decision. I turned down all the offers. Not because I was sure I was right, but because I understood that I couldn't go back to being the person who pleases everyone but doesn't live for himself. I decided I would continue sharing my experience, and if that led to success, fine. But if not, I wouldn't regret it. Because for me, the truly successful person is the one who lives without adjusting to others' expectations. Time passed, and I kept sharing my real life, with its mistakes, its struggles, and moments of weakness. I noticed how new followers came to me, those who were tired of fake images, those who also wanted to be real. I discovered a new world. A world where I could be myself without fear of judgment. This journey turned out to be not only difficult but also full of unexpected discoveries. My life didn't become perfect. I still face criticism, still get offers to bring back the old version of myself. But now I know what really matters. It's not likes or recognition. What matters is being honest with myself, not losing my path, and being ready to live by my own rules. Jason, I'm no longer afraid to be myself. I've learned not to hide my mistakes and struggles. Yes, this may not lead to millions of likes, but I know what matters to me. In the end, life isn't measured in likes. It's measured by what we leave inside ourselves and how we live each day.